Welcome back to No Limit Drag Racing 2.0. Also, little side note to that, y'all already know exactly what game this is, so I don't know why I say the name of the game every time, but maybe it's necessary and maybe it isn't. I don't know. You let me know. But with all the rambling about that aside, this video is about the 280Z from the newest update. Now, the 280Z is one of the most interesting cars, in my opinion, for a few different reasons. One, because it's honestly one of my personal favorite cars from this time period and era. However, it's also one of the cars that gets a little bit overlooked, in my opinion, from the update because it's not necessarily one of the super exciting new drivetrains. It's another front engine rear drive monster, or at least it can be a monster if you set it up right. And speaking of setting it up right, there will be a link in the description down below to where you can find a really good tune that, albeit is a little finicky, especially off the line, but it's another one of those tunes that if you get the 1-2 shift right, you can get into the 560s. Some people have even gotten it into the 550s. I have personally not gotten into the 550s with this car, although it is possible. I'm just going to need, honestly, a lot more practice with this car before I get fully dialed into where I want to be with it. So definitely check that tune out if you're curious and if you want to support the original creator. Also, I do want to go ahead and acknowledge the fact that I did not include the link in the description for one of the tunes in one of my prior No Limit videos, or one of my recent No Limit videos. And I do want to go ahead and apologize for that because I meant to include that tune right off the bat and it looked like I forgot to put the link in there. So it is there now, and I made a pinned comment on that video making sure that y'all knew the link for that tune was there. Although I just want to go ahead and clear that up because there were a lot of comments saying, you said there was a tune, where is it? So I completely understand the frustration, and I just wanted to go ahead and clear that up. So if you were looking for the tune for the Civic, that is now included in the description of that video. So again, all cleared up and good to go. And I will try to make sure that in the future, I will make sure those links are there when the video originally goes out. And now on to my personal experience with this car. So my own personal experience with this car is kind of odd because, again, the original creator of this tune is running like 550s to 560s consistently. And honestly, I was trying my hardest to get this thing into the 5.7s. And even when I was in the 5.7s, I was kind of really having to focus and fight for it. Whereas with some of the other vehicles, like for example, the Civic, I can run 5.6s over and over and over again with ease. And I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that this car can just be a little finicky sometimes. And when you have a car that can sometimes be a little finicky, you're not necessarily, unless you get really dialed in with that particular car, you're not necessarily going to be seeing extremely consistent results unless you, again, you really gel with that car and you really get dialed in to that car's particular capabilities. One thing that's true across the board, though, for this car is it is incredible in the top end. The top end of this car is so good that once you get above like third gear, it will just absolutely freight train. The problem is getting it there, getting it above third gear with consistency. So again, that goes back to essentially what I was talking about before, about how this car in the first two, kind of the first three, but usually the first two gears, it all comes down to how good at that balancing act you are. Because if you rev it out too much, it spins, but if you don't rev it out enough, it bogs. So it's definitely one of those things where I'm going to have to get a lot more acclimated to how the car performs, and I'm sure that'll happen over time. And it also continues to prove that it all comes down to practice. No matter what car it is, no matter what track it is, no matter what scenario or what type of racing you're doing, it all comes down to practice. And there's really nothing else that can be said for it. And of course, y'all can let me know in the comments down below what your own experiences with the Z have been like, because I've definitely heard some mixed opinions about the Z. I've heard some people say it's awful, but I've also heard some people say it's amazing. And ironically, I actually went up against, when I was running this Civic, I went up against someone else in a fully built Z a couple of times, and they were absolutely shredding. Like, we're talking about somebody that was putting down consistent high 550s, low 560s, but primarily high 550s, which is so fast. And I'm sure there's also little variances here and there based on your personal device that can also play a part in how well a tune works. And how well a tune works on your personal device sometimes takes a little bit of fine-tuning and tweaking and messing with things here and there to extract the peak performance from that car. And that's why a tune that you see online may not always be a direct representation of how that tune is going to act or function on your personal device, because there are device-based variances. Sometimes they're smaller, sometimes they're larger, but they are still a thing and they are definitely still there. And of course, I would love to hear from y'all in the comments down below if there are any specific cars that you would like to see me either revisit or that you would like to see me try out a build for next. And ironically, I ended up doing a few more races with this car and then getting so frustrated with the performance that I actually went back to the test and tune and tried to mess with a couple of things to see if I could get it to go any faster. And honestly, I just got a little overly frustrated with the way this car was driving. And so I don't know, I'm going to have to probably go back to the drawing board and revisit the original tune and see if I can correct little things from there. And then obviously come back and revisit my own practice with the car and then just keep practicing over and over and over until I get it to where I want it and until I also really nail down that 1-2 shift. Now, this R34 that I'm racing against now, obviously they red lighted the first race, but they were so fast. 'Cause here's me kind of hoping that that first win was a little bit of a trend with this car. And then, well, you'll see what happens. As you very clearly saw, I was walked in basically every capacity. And this is why I need more practice with this car. This is why I need to get more dialed in with this car. And this is why I need to put in a little bit, or maybe a lot of bit, more time, just honestly putting this thing through its paces in the test and tune, because that race was the one that made me go, oh crap. I actually have a lot more work that I need to do, both on the car and also the driving. And to get this thing to where I really want it to be, I kind of discovered after that race that it was going to need a little bit more time and a little bit more work than I originally thought it would. However, with all of that being said and done, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this car, this build, and the tune in the comments down below. And if you're enjoying these No Limit videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn those notifications on. And I will see y'all next time. Talk to y'all later. And since we have a little bit more time left in the video before it ends, I did want to say real quick, I'm still seeing so many comments of like, who is this? Or just general comments that are essentially making it clear to me that y'all have missed a lot of content. Now, I don't know if that's because the YouTube delivery system has not shown it to you, or because you just saw it and decided not to watch it, but I guess it still just kind of blows my mind how many people are showing up in the comments with comments like, who is this? And of course, I know that there are some people that only watch one game out of a bunch of different given games on my channel, but even still, you would think that they would have watched a little bit of, a little bit of a mixture of content here and there rather than just one singular game. But you never know. I don't know. So I'll see y'all in the next one. Talk to y'all later, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day.